Strong Strength NX here. We are back with episode three of our bulking series. Today we are focusing on big ass legs, mainly focused around the quadriceps.
The quadriceps. So a lot of people don't know necessarily how many muscles go in the quadriceps. There's 4 muscles in the quadriceps, and depending on which exercise you do, hits different parts of the heads of the quadriceps. So as you know, the 4 different muscles. Relating to extension, so when you're doing exercises, for instance, leg extensions, or for instance, when you do multi-joint exercises like squats, they can hit different muscles. So the rectus femoris, which is a big ass muscle, as you can see here on the diagram, which is the middle muscle, and that one is better in extension. The vastus muscles, the medial, lateral, and intermedius, as you can see on the image diagram, is when you do multi-joint exercises in flexion. So in other words, at the bottom range of the movement. So we'll give you exercises to go through now of how to and how not to do exercises to get the best, biggest ass quads,
badassy boy quads
in the world. If you want them. If you don't want them,
tough.
Click on another.
Watch it anyway.
Click on another one of our videos, then come back because you'll want them then.
Let's go.
Okay, first let's get rid of a few myths. It doesn't matter whether you have your legs narrow, wide, have your feet turned in or turned out. At the end of the day, the quadriceps get the same activation. Other muscles will get involved if you go out slightly wider or narrow, but the quadriceps will get still full activation providing you get full range of movement in full flexion at the bottom of the rep, particularly on the leg press and the squat. Don't touch me!
In order for the vastus muscles to fully engage, you need to get full flexion, which is when your knees are at a 90-degree angle in line with the hips, which as you can see, Johnny's not doing here. Another bad example is when you go past that range of movement, so your bum comes off the pad and your back is then forced to take over the weight on the leg press. And finally, here is the best example. As you can see, knees are level with the hips at a 90-degree angle. Nice little pause and then pushing back out, full flexion. So this works the vascular muscles, which is typically the inner and outer heads of the quad.
Talking of multi-joint exercises, squat is another variation. If you do not get into full flexion, as you can see, my bum is well above my knee line. You need to get into full flexion to get the vastus muscles, the same heads as the previous leg press, to work and fully activated. You need to get below 90 degrees, players.
Another common mistake with the squat is tipping forward. So when you tip forward, your hips don't engage correctly, which means your quads don't engage, which means your back takes over the weight of the movement. Another common mistake is getting that full range of movement, however, using your hips to drive through that movement and hyperextending at the top. This is dangerous, however, because it reduces quad activation and can cause you to tip backwards. So the correct squat, we're looking to get full flexion, which is 90 degrees or below, with our chest up so we don't tip forward. We're pushing away from the floor and driving through the hips and the glutes. Make sure you maintain good posture, which will fully activate the quads under full flexion. If you can get below 90 degrees, please do. Intermission time.
So, just so you guys know, there has been some recent videos from both Athlean-X and Vitruvian Physique, both explaining that you can elicit better quad activation through doing a narrow squat stance. The reason being why Vitruvian Physique said it is just because it's something he believes, it's anecdotal. It might not be false, we're just going from 6 studies that have been put out there and have had a meta-analysis, and that's in other words, lots of studies put together, and the best possible answer is more quad activation, doesn't really matter where your foot stance is. So, we're not saying he's wrong, we're just saying that it's a different opinion, different point of view. Athlean-X has also actually stated that a narrow squat stance will elicit better quad activation as well. His reasoning behind it is because he's explained that if you go out too wide, it can actually put a lot of tension on the adductors, so it can take away from the quads. However, might not necessarily be the case either, it's just based it up from a physiological level, so it could potentially do more damage on the adductors, i.e. the hamstrings or the glutes. So basically, Luke's gone. So basically, he's not wrong, but he's not necessarily right either. In other words, quad activation would be the same, but the activation of the glutes or hamstrings. Oh, he's totally put me off. Are you alright now, mate?
I think so.
I'm not sure what the outburst was for. I think he just likes pulling faces at me as I'm talking about random crap. Anyway, Athlete X, what we were just saying was he was eliciting slightly more adductors. In other words, it could put a lot more tension around the area and can create injury. So from a physiotherapy standpoint, he is correct. So Athlete X, you're always correct as usual. But for quads, still no difference between the stands. Anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so if you're not able to get into a 90-degree angle on squats, Bulgarian split squats are great. As you can see it here, I'm able to get into full flexion. I'm driving the knee back, down and behind me, which elicits a greater response in the flexor itself of the knee. And as you can see, I'm getting full hip flexion at the bottom on the left leg, which is the leg behind. If you can see here, the drive up, I'm getting full extension on the top. So in other words, I'm straightening the leg out. So although I am hitting the vastus muscles, which is the outer and inner heads, I'm also hitting the rectus femoris, as you can see here on this image, as I fully extend towards the top. However, there are better exercises for the rectus femoris, which we'll go into in the future video. So, same problems as the other movements. If you don't get to a 90-degree angle or you don't get full flexion of the knee, you don't get full quad activation, so just need to go down lower. Another common mistake is people go out too far and they actually push forward through the front knee, and as you can see, the back knee is getting no flexion at all and it's not getting full range of movement on the front either. As we explained at the start of the video, doing multi-movements of the legs, so multi-joint exercises, is great for the vastus muscles. And also, as I fully extend at the top, it is great for the rectus femoris. In other words, hitting the four heads of the quads. So we're getting full range of movement yet again. This can be a good alternative or a good secondary exercise to Bulgarian split squats, because a lot of people can struggle doing the Bulgarian split squats because they can be quite hard stabilizing exercise to do. However, if you can do both, I would recommend it, because doing more movements with full range of motion is actually much better for quadriceps development.
Pulse lunges are great for hitting the vastus muscles, which is the outer inner heads of the quads, because we're staying in flexion and we're not fully extending at the top.
Okay, so finally what we're going to actually do is isolate the rectus femoris. That's the big ass muscle in the middle. What we want to do is point the toes and hold it in full extension at the top, so that's knees straight, so we can get full activation of that rectus femoris itself. The reason why we don't put the weight up is because it can actually affect the hinge joint and actually damage your knees over time. So I would recommend doing a lighter load and of course extend for longer periods at the top.
If you lighten the weight too much, you may end up using too much momentum and not fully extending the leg, which means you're not fully activating the rectus femoris. Some bonus information for you. For those looking to build some extra quad bulkage, jump on the bike and start building your cardiac muscles using cardiac exercises. So on the bike, ramp up that resistance as high as you can and pedal, pedal, pedal. If you're not convinced, check out some Olympic cyclists. Their legs are tonk.
Honky tonk.
So, what are you waiting for? Grow those big ass quads. If you do have any questions about the rectus femoris or the vastus, if it wasn't explained clearly enough or too scientific, do let us know and we'll go into a separate video just kind of breaking it down a little bit easier. But we have a little game for you today.
We have a game.
What's the game?
The game's Where's This Wally?
Where's this one? So Luke is in Johnny's little video bits.
You just referred to yourself.
I did refer to myself as a third person. I am a collective of individuals who make up different people.
We are legion.
But basically, yes, Luke is in some of those videos. So go back into those videos. How many times is Luke in it?
Yes, I'm in a red top. I'm the only person in a red top in those shots, and I am hidden away in a lot of them, so you got to find it.
Yeah.
If you find me, either put the little timestamp in the comments, or better yet, screenshot it, put us in a story, and circle me in the video. I'm hidden away in some of them.
And we're also doing a PDF, a free PDF,
free.
Like we mentioned, about diet, lifestyle, how to get yourself fitter, healthier, that kind of stuff. We'll be giving out that for free. So for those of you guys that actually do take part in this, you'll be the first ones to get it. So shout up in the comment section that you want it, let us know, and we will send one over to you when it's ready.
Yeah.
I think that is all we have time for today, right?
Yes, other than subscribe.
Subscribe, of course, and share.
Share.
Share. Bye-bye.